what you should be looking for when you're looking for a nonprofit consultant that has a specialty or specializes in fundraiser. When you're looking at what types of work a nonprofit consultant, a fundraising consultant should do, organizations may choose to engage or with outside fundraisers in a variety of ways. Sometimes it may be to help with your existing issues or opportunities or initiatives. Sometimes it's to help you create new initiatives and opportunities. And sometimes you're hiring them because you do not have time. It's just about the time. You might have the team, you might not have the team, but sometimes you just might not have the time. And you need someone with a specialized skill set to come in and support the organization. Sometimes you need them to come in and supplement the work that you're already doing. Maybe you have a team, but there's some additional needs on the project and you may not have the human capital to focus on that. And what you're going to do is bring in someone else to be able to support. Or maybe you're looking for a fundraising consultant to come in to try and help, to not just to try and help, to help your team identify the road that they should be taking. So sort of like train the trainer. So you may have people that will be responsible for it inside, and you'll bring in a consultant to help you to figure out what you can and cannot do. So the role of professional consultants when it comes to nonprofit organizations will largely depend on the size of your organization, the development experience of your staff. Sometimes individual consulting and consulting firms are also hired to provide a variety of specialized services. They can bring in a level of wisdom to your organization's expertise, and quite honestly, sometimes creativity, because they may help you to push the envelope in things that you're not even thinking about. They can also help you to raise funds without being an employee. So oftentimes, sometimes I know with nonprofit startups, we may be able, and I say we because I did found a nonprofit startup at one point, but at sometimes we may not have the manpower, we may not be looking for or in a position to hire employees full-time or even part-time. So consultants can come in and fill that gap for us as well. They are truly known as an economic alternative for your organization. Because they can engage with the work and within your organization without having to commit to the hours of all of the other pieces. They are going to be laser focused on the work that's in front of them, and it's just for a limited time. And so here are some of the things. I want you to take note of this. And then this recording will rest in the social media sphere for as long as I can. So I typically leave things up for a month before I bring them out. But here are some of the things, some of the roles that fundraising, I jotted some of them down as I was thinking about it today. And so if I look down at my notes, it's because I want to make sure I'm getting to all of these different things that I've noted. So the question is, I want to hire a nonprofit consultant, but I don't really know what that means. And I want them to concentrate on fundraising efforts for our organization. What types of things, whatever typically is Kimberly, what types of things can they do? Well, they can work on your capital and special campaigns. So if you have a capital campaign or some other special campaign that's focused on something, a specific type of area, they can work on that. They can create your strategy. They can execute your strategy. They can monitor your strategy. They can also spearhead your annual an operating campaign. So the process, an annual campaign that you facilitate every single year, or an operating campaign, they can be in charge of that. You can bring them in to monitor, or to develop, to monitor, and implement that throughout the year. They can also help to coordinate your planned giving campaigns. So if you focus on planned giving as an aspect of fundraising, they have the ability to come in and coordinate what that looks like for you and utilize their expertise. And before I go on to the other ones, the reason why I'm laying them out one by one is because I want you to specifically hear the different types of fundraising activities and initiatives that can happen in your organization. So if something resonates with you more so than others, you can kind of visualize something a little differently. So when you hear me say things and you might lump it into one category, well, that's all fundraising. But when you're thinking about the intricacies of your fundraising initiatives, I want you to hear the various types of fundraising activities. So for those of you that have never heard these before, you can do some research on the names to get those areas more better defined. You can also begin to ideate, like, I never even thought of that. So that's why I'm going to spell these out for you a little bit more than I would if I was teaching a bigger class on fundraising. They can provide support services. So maybe you have the team, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago. Maybe you have the team, but you need support on implementing the overall plan. Well, they can serve as support services. Fundraising consultants or nonprofit consultants don't need to do the entire job. They can come in and just do a piece of a job. And one of the things, especially when I go into organizations, one of the things that I really concentrate on is I try to pay attention to the dynamics of what's already happening in an organization. I offer advice based on the scope of work that I've been hired for. If I think that they could do something differently, they can work a little bit smarter, I'll offer that up. But I will continue to work on the scope of work that I was hired to do. But I also like to ensure that my clients know about other ways that they can implement the work that they're doing. And sometimes they just don't have the knowledge base for some of the things that I may be more specialized in understanding. They're great. So this is where, like, my sweet spot for my company, we provide advice and consultations on issues. So for specifically for what we're talking about, this would be on fundraising issues. But sometimes you can just call a consultant in because you need some advice on what you're doing and how you can do it better. So you don't necessarily need them to do the work, but you do need them to advise you and guide you in ensuring that you are operating the most effective and efficient ways. They can assist. We also do this too. We assist in institutional readiness prior to the start of initiatives. Again, for this particular conversation, we're talking about fundraising, but nonprofit consultants can come in and assist with institutional readiness prior to the start of any of your fundraising activities. They can help with conducting research and identifying prospects for you, potential donors, potential sponsors, potential partners, but they can do research for you. So that helps to take away some of the burden for what your team is doing, or quite honestly, if you're a nonprofit startup, it might be what you're doing. They can help with grant writing. And I'm gonna put a pin on that because I'm gonna get to what costs should look like as well, what is ethical, what is standard in our sphere, but they can help with grant writing. They can actively guide a fundraising campaign. They can actually help to write out the fundraising campaign. This one is big to me. When you are not sure what you're doing, you don't know if you're going in the right direction, the wrong direction, you don't know if the needle is moving fast. I would say that one of our sweet spots as a consulting community to the nonprofit sector is we help to motivate and train you, your board, your team, your key volunteers, your key staff. Because this is our work, we know how to energize people around it, right? Even when the days don't feel good, because fundraising can take you through series of highs and lows. Sometimes you're just in the middle, but sometimes you can go real high because you've had a wonderful campaign or a wonderful day, and you can hit a real low when you've not hit your milestones. But we have a way of motivating and training people so they understand the dynamics, because sometimes it's not you, sometimes it's just the lay of the land around this fundraising within our sector. And then finally, they provide and we provide just general fundraising expertise. We fill in the gaps. We create opportunities. We make sure we focus on your strengths, so you can focus on your strengths, so we can actually come in and focus on those weaknesses, right? And so we can be great assets to the organization.